Back again with Geoff, Sammy P, Will Hill, kick around the DraftKings Super 6 game of the week, where the Vikings host the Green Bay Packers at DraftKings. This game is one pick in a lot of places, but we're obviously going to ask you in the Super 6, what will the result of this game be? I'll have some more thoughts when I make my best bet later in the show. But I kind of think it's a little bit of a disrespectful line here for the Vikings. It's so much talk about Green Bay now. I think the Vikings are pretty good. So I kind of just get a little bit of a tell there what way I'm going in this game. But too much hype for the Packers, Geoff?
Bear, what will it take for you to buy into the Packers are good at football? We have this discussion every week, and every week you say the same thing. We don't think they're very good. We'll take winning this week.
That's not that I don't think they're good. I think there's a little too much hype around this team, which needed some miracles to beat some of the dregs of the league.
I mean, that you do need that every now and then in the National Football League, right? I mean, you win games by 3 points, and it does happen. And look, I think this is a big game for the Packers' psyche heading into the postseason, right? Because they have 4 losses. A 5-point loss to the Eagles, a 2-point loss to this Vikings team with Jordan Love back off the first game off his injury, right? And then 2 losses to the Lions, I think, by 10 points and 3 points, right? So this is a psyche game for them. If they go into Minnesota and beat Minnesota, I think they're very live to be a NFC championship contender. They have the right pieces, right? They win up front. They have many options to throw the ball to. I think 9 Packers caught the ball against the Saints, which isn't a great example because the Saints are terrible, but they can run the football. I know Love does throw a couple of interceptions he probably shouldn't, but he didn't last weekend. So I like this Packers team, Will. They have to prove they can win one of these games. I keep down the Vikings, which maybe I shouldn't. I know you're a Vikings guy, Will. Maybe I'm missing the boat on the Vikings and too high on the Packers, but I do think the Packers would be the side I would take here.
I like Minnesota. I thought that was a gutty win last week. I actually thought, especially, when they fell behind, but even at 17-7, they couldn't put Seattle away. That's been a house of horrors for them. They fall behind, drop interceptions to come back and win that game. That showed a lot of heart, a lot of guts. And I just don't understand, the look ahead line for this, Sammy, was Minnesota -2. So Green Bay buries the Saints, and now we have a 3-point line movement. I know you're going through 0, but I don't get that. And look, Minnesota's got a real home field advantage. They've got a real edge in terms of motivation. They're 2 wins away from not only winning the division, they're the 1 seed, and I think they desperately need a 1 seed. I don't think they can win 3 road games and go to the Super Bowl. I just don't think, as much as I like this team, I don't think that's a good path for them. The edge in home field, and it's a good home field, edge in motivation. It's a good teaser, if nothing else, especially those ones out there, the 6.5 teaser up to 7.5. I don't understand this line move. I'll go with Minnesota here, and I think it sets up a Minnesota-Detroit showdown for the 1 seed for the NFC North, everything next week, Sammy.
As somebody who had a Christmas epiphany betting the NFL yesterday, I woke up in Chicago and I thought, Chiefs and Kelsey parlay. Chiefs win, Kelsey touchdown. I would never do that, Bear. I would never, ever do that. And I did it. Guys, it kind of felt good to just bet the Chiefs. Is that where we're at in the NFL? To which I raised the question back to the room. Minnesota is 7-1 at home this year. Minnesota has a higher power rating, and the game is still a pick'em. If we're not overthinking things like I didn't yesterday with Chiefs and Kelsey, it's Minnesota in that building where that defense thrives and eats you alive offensively. I would go Vikings in this one.
And the one loss was a loss against Detroit, which they led and had an opportunity to close that game out, and they didn't, and lost late. So, yeah, I think, Geoff, it's not. This is more of me. And Will illustrated the line move, and Sammy just talked about the numbers as well. I think it's more of a disrespectful line to the Vikings than it is me thinking the Packers are terrible. What are the Vikings going to do with Darnold? What do you think, Geoff?
They're going to let him walk. They can't pay him $60 million a year. That would be a very foolish thing. He should accept nothing less than a high market value, because you look at the NFL draft this year and you look at the NFL possible free agent quarterbacks. You have Cousins obviously coming. He was 36 off a bad injury, not playing well. Who else is going to be available? There's going to be a team that's going to give Sam Darnold 50 to 60 million, because that's the going rate for quarterback right now. If Minnesota can get him for 30 a year, I think surely will. You can do that. You're the Vikings fan here. I don't think you can pay him. You drafted McCarthy. That's who you drafted to be your future. Got to play McCarthy, in my opinion, and let Sam Darnold walk and let him get his money somewhere else.
It's a good problem to have two quarterbacks, you think, in theory, but it is still a problem. They're in an impossible spot because you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's hard to get these guys. They finally got one. He's not, he's young enough where you can build around him.
Yes.
That being said, the success of the team, the charm of this team is you basically have a free quarterback where you can stack the rest of the team and get free agents. And that goes out the window. Even if you franchise him, even if he takes a discount, that means, all right, probably Aaron Jones doesn't come back. And this guy, all these guys on 1-year deals, you can't build the rest of the team. And Darnold, as well as he's played, is he one of those guys where you don't need to stack the team? It's not a Mahomes or an Allen where you just kind of throw whatever on him, he'll make it work. The reason Darnold's playing so well, he's got Jefferson and Addison and a run game and a defense and an offensive line. Long way of saying I have no idea. My guess is they'll probably look at McCarthy with $50 million of cap space as opposed to Darnold as the way to go. They picked him high. They traded up to pick him. What complicates is McCarthy's had a second knee surgery, so is he ready to go for training camp? I don't know. You've got the Jones factor of hey, maybe Jones can fill in and be this year's Darnold of hey, he can be competent if we don't have McCarthy in time. It's a really tough spot for Minnesota. It really is.
Bear Bets full episodes drop twice a week right here on the Bear Bets YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to stay ahead of the odds, and let's celebrate all of our wins together.